Today, I would like to take you through the new features and improvements which have been released to you with the latest Just Account release. Through this webinar, I will be going through the sections of the latest release note and demonstrating how to use a new feature within the system. So what we'll do down there is we'll start with the new feature that is now available on Umbrella. If you wish for it to be turned on, please let us know. But the new feature is that you now have the ability to have multiple payments per period in Umbrella. This means that you can have multiple pay slips within one pay period in Umbrella. So to do this, the first thing you need to do is hover over Home and click Setup. Because what this allows you to then do is actually stop the old feature, which is that it would automatically post and roll onto the next period. So that is Home Setup, and then in Client Settings, what you now should see is an option at the bottom called Advanced Group Pay Date on Post. What you need for this feature I'm about to show you is to make sure that this is not ticked, as we do not want the payroll group to roll to the next period every time we post. I'm just going to click Save on that, and what I'm going to do is now go on Home and going to go into my umbrella company, and I'm just going to do the normal umbrella process of creating a timesheet. But for this webinar, I'm going to import some timesheets in. So what I've done is I've already have 4 timesheets prepared. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and import these in, and there's my timesheet import. I'm going to click Import, and what the system will now do is pick up these timesheets and import it. For this webinar, I am just going to click Import Timesheets and Make Payable, just so we can obviously go through and show you the payroll, as I'm not too fussed right now about the invoice aspect. So I'm going to click Import Timesheets and Make Payable. What this basically means now then is that if I was to run payroll, these 4 timesheets would pull through to it. So I'm going to go on Employees, Payroll Groups, and I'm going to create a batch for the payroll group that I know these guys are in. And I'm going to apologize to HMRC for my late submission, and then I'm going to click OK. And what the system will now do is just calculate payroll as normal. And what it should have done now is it's done. So it's now, as you can see, it's just as normal if you're a regular user of our umbrella software. It's got our hours value, margin, everything is normal. And what I'm going to do, just as usual, is go ahead and post that period. And what this will be now is the system again is just posted payroll as normal. And again, nothing different. Yeah, the bit that's going to be the difference is once I come and run my second payroll. That's went through now. So if I click Include Posted, if you want to remember this, is you can see a pay run, a batch posted for period 15, and what I'm going to be doing now is post another batch in period 15. And also if I click on this, if you want to remember this part, is that it says sequence 1. So what I'll be doing now is running sequence 2. And just before I do that, I'm just going to show you how exactly it looks within the employee screen before I run the second payroll, just to give you a bit of comparison idea. So in the P11, I've got my normal period 15, £788.73 payable pay, £788.80 NI pay. In the payrolls tab, I've got my one pay slip for the date of 14th of July with the gross and net pay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to import my timesheet again, but this time it's again within the same period, within the same week. So choose my file, click Import, and again, just like before, I'm going to be importing my timesheets again. And just like before, I'm going to click Import Timesheet and Make It Payable, just because I don't need to go through the invoice screen for this webinar. And that's been done. But before I run the payroll again, I want to touch on the new feature that's come with margins. So, as you can imagine, some of you may charge a margin pay every pay slip, but some of you might just charge a margin per week or charge a percentage per pay slip. So what we've done is that if I just click settings on this one, is now where there's a new option within each payroll group where you get the option to charge a margin only once per period. So if this is set to true, that means that I would only get charged put that my first pay slip within that period. If this is set as false, then I get charged for every single pay slip that my umbrella company has run for me. And also, if anyone uses sort of margins and uses our percentage aspect and then has a flat rate once a certain threshold is hit, the way we work that out is we will work out that percentage for you until that flat rate is reached. Also, if you have a cross-company rule that you only want to charge margin once per period, you can set that up in the client settings as well. So just make sure you go in there and click charge margin only once. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go run through the payroll for the second time for the same period. So last time what we done was run a payroll for payroll date the 14th, but I'm going to run another batch in that period again. And what the system will now do is create two sequences for the same period, and it would also create you two pay slips that I will show you once it's went through. And just so you know, in this payroll group, I do have the option to charge margin once per period ticked. So what you should see is the margin being 0 for all the 4 employees, because I've already charged them my £20 margin fee for the first pay slip. So it's now calculated again for the same period for another batch. And as you can see, like I said before, the margins are 0. If, for example, you needed to charge someone margin again, but you didn't want to do it for the group and it was more of an ad hoc, you can, like previously, just click within the margin and put a new margin in. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to go ahead and post this payroll. And what will happen now then is that each of these individuals will get a second pay slip. So they'll have two, which I'll show you. They'll have 2 pay summaries, and the P11 would be an accumulation of the 2 pay slips. The RTI would be updated at HMRC's end as well. You don't need to worry about any of that. And also the backs file you can run per batch, which I'll show you once I get this one posted. So now that that's went through, if I click include posted, what you'll be able to see is 2 payroll batches for the same period for the same payroll group. There we go, period 15. And what you'll see in the URL, it's sequence 2. And the best part about this is that when you need to pay your client, you can just still carry on, click on reports per each batch and run the appropriate backs file for each batch. So then if you needed to pay these guys on Wednesday, run the report on Wednesday, pay that up, run this one on Friday, then you can pay that back. And it pays the amount for the pay slip rather than the accumulation. Also, if you do need to if there has been an amendment and you make any amendments, you can just delete each sequence in reverse chronological order. So you would need to delete sequence 2 and then delete sequence 1. Just so you know, once you have a sequence created within a period, you cannot edit the payroll group settings until you have advanced the period. But I'll touch on that in a second further. But what I'm going to do now is show you the 2 pay slips and the 2 pay summaries and the P11. So I'm going to go to my umbrella employee 1, very creative employee name. And all I'm going to do is go onto the P11 tab. As you remember before, it was 78873, but now it's an accumulation of the 2 timesheets. And that is the same with NI bill pay. And if you click on details, it actually again is an accumulation of both pay slips. In payroll, what I have, the top one is my first pay slip. So if I click on that, you'll see is for $599.51 for the net pay. So that was the guy's first pay slip. But then, as you know, in the umbrella industry, they might have 2 pay slips in the same week. If I click on his second pay slip, what it'll do is it'll still give me my net pay, but it'll also then gives me that total net pay as well, which is the accumulation of this pay and this pay. So it's very useful for any umbrella employees who do pay as soon as you receive funds, and the guy, for example, gets 2 times within the same week. This will be really useful for you. And as well as updating the pay slip, the pay summary is also updated. which will show you not only what's happened within that period for that timesheet, but also the accumulation for that period and the year to date, and the net pay due for that timesheet, and then the total net pay for the whole week. Once you're happy with everything and you no longer need to pay anyone in that payroll group, it's very important to go to payroll groups and advance the period to the next pay date, because the system will no longer do that automatically for you. You will need to do that yourself now once you're happy and ready to run payroll in the next period. And there we go. So now I'm ready to start paying my guys for the pay date ending with the 21st of July 2017. So that's all for that one, for this new feature. I know it's taking a bit of the time on the webinar, but it is a biggie. So if you are interested, please contact your account manager to discuss this feature further. This is due to a reason that this is not a feature we can just turn on. So it's not currently turned on for any instances. But if you are interested, make sure to be in touch and we will begin the process of turning that on for you and having you be able to use this lovely feature. While we're on an umbrella, I'm going to touch on a few little tweaks that have come in this release. So now you have the ability to set up a default holiday pay contribution nominal. So this is for anyone who uses our holiday pay immediately and treats holiday pay as income. So in default payroll nominals, we now have added HolidayPayC. So if you just populate that, we'll use our nominal for when you are paying holiday pay as income. I'm just going to change mine to this one. Obviously, your nominal ledger might be different. So if you do need any advice on that, do get in touch with us and we'll tell you which nominal might be useful to use. But again, if you do know, just go ahead and type it in. The other side of umbrella, but you will also see that on limited as well, is that we have made changes to the adjustment screen. It's not a massive change. All it is that's just an explanation added for the purpose of PAYE and NI adjustments. So if I click on employees, what you'll now see in the adjustments tab is just two little notifications underneath each one. I'm not going to read these out loud for you, but as you can see, we have just added a little explanation at the bottom of PAYE adjustments and NI adjustments. What we've also done is we've relaxed the validation on the P45 employee fields. This means now they can be used for P6 entries too. So if someone's already an existing employee, as you can see, it's no longer just P45, it's also P45 and P6, and you can go ahead and enter P6 information if you need to. Alternatively, if it's a new employee that you're creating, you can just click on Create New Employee, and in the first screen, it's now P45 or P6 data entry. So that's all for the umbrella side, but like I said, this will also apply to limited. But what we've also done on the limited side of the system is now added a filter in the expense list. So if I just go on and navigate my way to the expense list, what you see now is we have now added a date validation at the top, where you can put in a start date and end date and search for particular expenses. So if I was to, for example, only want to see expenses from, let's say, December, the system would only then show me expenses from December. And finally, the last thing is just a little tweak to the bank reconciliation process, is that previously we found that the validation allowed you to change the date of the statement to before the last transaction. So for example, the last reconciled transaction on here is the 19th of July and the statement date is on the 2nd of August. But if I was to change that to, for example, sometimes in June, which is before my last reconciled transaction, the system now pops up a validation error saying statement date is earlier than the reconciled transaction date. That's just to protect you by making sure you don't enter any incorrect statement date into the system. I hope you have found this webinar useful and helpful, and I hope you enjoyed viewing the new features. Myself, I'm really excited about the umbrella feature which now allows you to have 2 pay slips within the same period. So again, if you're interested in that, please get in touch with your account manager and we will begin the process of turning that on for you. In addition to that, if you have any questions or if you have any feedback about anything you've seen today or about anything else, please email us at demonstrations@justaccounts.com. And I would also like to take this moment to say if anyone is interested in booking in any training sessions to cover these features in full, or just a refresher session for any other features, then please email me at demonstrations@justaccounts.com to discuss further. Thank you for your time this morning, and I hope to see you all again in future webinars, and have a lovely weekend. Thank you.